Welcome back to Brews in Boxing, your weekly show for boxing news and analysis from our panel of experts. With me, as always, is Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich, what it?
So, I read somewhere that there is a thing called eggnog seltzer. Seltzer? What? I don't know what it's called. I could not find it. So, next best thing, I got Christmas ale, boys. Christmas ale. Let's do this. I'm ready to pop it open.
Why don't you just blow some bubbles into your eggnog? That'll work.
Yes.
Grab a straw, do that. That'll work. And of course, with us as always is the judge, Jimmy James, the one, the only, the sauce. What's up, buddy?
Beef stick.
Beef stick.
What? I don't know. I'm doing all right. Vikings play on Thursday night, which is going to be weird. Lost to Detroit. Way to go. Can't get any lower than this, guys. So it's only up from here. Looking forward to talking about some boxing.
And they're playing a team that tied Detroit. Detroit just been here twice. Didn't think of that, did you? All right. Well, we got a lot of news to get to. Some reviews of, especially with Jim's favorite boxer, Jojo Diaz, later. But we'll get to that in a little bit. For right now, gentlemen, pop your eggnogs.
Oh. Cheers, boys.
Let's go on with the show. Brews of news time, gentlemen. Time to put on your thinking caps here and then analyze these articles and news that we got this week. First one we got is the WBC officially orders Tyson Fury to fight Dillian Whyte. The fight could happen apparently in March around my birthday. Maybe a nice little birthday present for old Raider Live. But what do you guys think of this? Filthy Rich, what do you think of Tyson Fury being forced to fight Dillian Whyte? Or will you even just say, whatever, take it, don't care? Fight someone else.
This is perfect. The WBC has their fingers on the pulse of the world. They think everyone's talking about Anthony Joshua. No, they step in, they say Dillian Whyte is the mandatory. These WBC people are out of their mind. I get it. It's a good fight. It's probably going to generate a lot of money because these are two UK guys, but this is not the fight we're dying to see. Do you remember when JJ Dillon kept asking Sting, who you want to fight? Who you want to fight? And he kept feeding him random people over and over. And the answer was Hogan. That's what the WBC feels like to me. It feels like JJ Dillon offering Sting everyone but Hogan. I'll drink to that.
Okay, for those of you alive during the WCW era of the early 1990s, you got a little throwback there. Judge Jimmy James, what do you think? It's not Usyk, it's not Joshua, but it's Dillian Whyte who's going to be forced. Height difference between the two of them is just like Filthy Rich and you, by the way. Very, very big height difference. So what do you think of this mandatory?
I mean, height doesn't matter, but this is, I don't know, man. This is super weird. Mauricio Salamon, what are you doing? I don't know. He's always got to do something weird with his mandatory, whoever the mandatory is. I don't know. It's interesting to me because Dillian Whyte was supposed to fight out of Aline and backed out. I don't know if I want to say last minute, but not quick enough due to a shoulder injury. And now all of a sudden he's the mandatory to fight Fury. So I'm not saying, but just saying that doesn't seem
doesn't sit well with you there, Juice.
Correct, right? Like it doesn't feel right to me. So as far as I don't know, what do I think? I don't think I'd rather have him. Fury should fight Joshua or Usyk. That's where I believe the money is. I don't believe the money is in Fury fighting Wilder or Whyte or whatever. So I don't know. W name here, man. Like I said, it's throwing me off the loop, man. I can't even speak right now. I mean, that's all I got for that. I don't know. No, I don't like it. No.
Well, Filthy Rich says the WBC's got the finger on the pulse of the world. I think it's just the pulse of England for the most part, but we'll see about that. All right, let's move on here to another fight. Keith Thurman is scheduled to fight Mario Barrios on January 29th. Sauce, we'll start with you. What do you think of this one? Thurman, German? Thurman.
Well,
From the fight on January 20th.
Finally, Thurman stops his jibber
one-time Thurman, by the way. One time a year.
Just stops talking and actually gets into the ring. So I'm glad he inked something, because I'm pretty sure it's been like a 2 or 3 year layoff, and he hasn't fought since he lost to Pacquiao, man. Boy, so good for you. And you're getting into a ring with Mario Barrios is moving up to 147. So it's a fight. I think it poses a challenge for him. Obviously, we don't know how Barrios is going to do at 147. We just, his last fight was at 140 against Tank Davis. So, but either way, I guess kudos to you, Thurman. You're on some sort of path. I don't know how old he is, but he can't be crazy old. But get back in the ring and do something. I think there's a pretty big height advantage for one of them, for the Barrios, I would assume. But I mean, yeah, congrats on finally getting someone to fight you, whether it was by choice or by force. But maybe we'll see Thurman get back in the mix and fight more people at 147, or see what happens. So,
well, by hook or by crook, Thurman, if he wins this fight, who will he fight in 2026? There, Filthy Rich. What do you think?
Look, I like how it's read as a tune-up fight for Keith Thurman, but I'm like, dude, you guys are probably ranked 10 and 11 in the division. How is this a tune-up fight for you? You haven't fought in so long, and Barrios isn't that bad. Yeah, he's moving up to 147, but maybe that's where he belongs. The last time we saw him was against Gervonta Davis, and maybe he just doesn't feel comfortable at 140 anymore. Look, Keith Thurman has like this ring absence. I don't think he's in shape to be fighting at 147. I think he's probably fat, and he probably weighs 154. I think he needs to move up a division. I don't know who he thinks he's fooling. I got to see this to believe it. But as of now, here's the other thing. He's Keith Thurman, big money pay-per-view star. This is a pay-per-view fight? You kidding me? I don't know what's going on here, man. This is not our April Fool's episode. This is a real show we're doing right now with real news, and it's embarrassing right now. That's all I got. And maybe my Christmas ale's been talking, huh?
I think Barrios beats the crap out of Thurman personally, but it kind of sounds like you're leaning that way too, Filthy Rich. James, you kind of feel that way too?
I didn't know it was a pay-per-view. Why is this a pay-per-view?
Because it's a once in a 5-year event. That's why you only get to see the guy once every 3-4 years. Of course, it's a pay-per-view event.
Oh my God, that is a terrible, terrible decision. Oh my God, I can't even wait to see
I can't wait for you to pay for it. So,
my God.
I will say the PBC has done a good job with their undercards, so maybe they can pull this one off. But having Keith Thurman be your headliner, come on, man. One of the undercard guys should be the headliner. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't even know who it is, and I already agree with you.
Fair enough. Maybe it'll go on Triller. Maybe that'll be real.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe you get some concerts with it or something, And I'd buy it. All right, moving on. You guys touched on the Kambosos fight last week with Teofimo Lopez. I did bet Kambosos, for those of you who didn't know, at 7-1. Boink, right here. But apparently Teofimo had a tear in his esophagus during the fight from trying to regain weight after weigh-in, and it filled his neck cavity and his chest cavity with air, and apparently with the right place shot, he could have died, and now his future is uncertain. He might have to have surgery to close this esophagus loop or hole, and this is a really big deal. What do you guys think? Bob Arum's saying he's not sure he'll fight again too. What do you guys think? Filthy Rich, we'll start with you.
Well, I don't think anyone really cares what Bob Arum has to say. Bob Arum he's not a doctor. He's in the business of taking money from boxing fans like us. So he wants to try to scare us with some, hey, it might be the last time you see him kind of thing. I'm not buying it. As far as Teo possibly retiring, I doubt it. The fight retires the fighter, and I think he might be on a long delay. We may not see him for 9 months or so, but This is the whole problem with trying to make weight. You need to fight at a weight you are comfortable at and not cut this weight last minute just to fight a guy you think you can beat up on. I mean, there were rumors that Teo was missing weight, which is why they kept delaying this fight. Well, if there's something to this thing of gaining weight and cutting it, and now your esophagus is torn, Dr. Rader, I don't know what's going on, but he needs to just move up like he said he was going to do. I don't think this is Lopez's. I don't think his career is over yet.
Well, what I was reading too is that he was actually going broke from not fighting so much, and he had all these people he had to pay, and the people that he fired was his nutritional group that would have prevented this thing, and he decided to go on his own because he couldn't afford to pay them anymore. Apparently, he had only 50 grand to his name before this last fight, and they say that may be the reason why he tore his esophagus, because he was not doing it the right way. Judge, what do you think? I mean, if he would have just ate a bunch of sauce, I can't imagine that he would have torn his esophagus. But what are you thinking about? Is Teofimo going to retire after this? If it can't, it sounds like it's life threatening. It's career ending if they can't get it fixed. So,
this is interesting news, right? Never heard any of this stuff before until after the fight. So we have no idea how long this has been happening. I can't imagine it was just something that popped up spur of the moment. I would have to imagine if you tore your esophagus that you'd have some sort of pain or residual effect well before this happened, right? Now, if they did know before this, maybe they were naive or not informed that this could be a life-threatening situation. And if they even thought it was a life-threatening situation, maybe Teofimo Sr. was giving him some bad advice saying, you know what, you're going to knock this dude out in one round anyway, so go get paid and then we'll go to the doctor. Now, obviously that didn't happen. It went all 12 rounds. So that could have been something like that, but no one's really going to know that, right? And if he was in debt as far as he was, couldn't back out. So, I mean, a lot of things that we don't know. I obviously have no idea, you know, how serious something like that would be, but it just seems odd that you wouldn't know, you wouldn't have some sort of pain or something like that, and not go into a fight like this unless you were denying the facts, right?
Well, I might have some answers for you on that as well here too, James. Apparently he had been sick for a few days before the fight, and including the day of, he felt sick. But this is not something that they would normally check for in a pre-fight thing. They just thought his glands were swollen from being sick, and it was actually filling with air is what it was. It's not something they would normally do. And the esophagus tear apparently is something that goes over time from constantly dropping and gaining weight, that your esophagus, you know, stretches and stretches and stretches, and then at one point it just snaps. And it's not something that you feel pain on, but you feel bloated because obviously you're filling up with air like the Marshmallow Man. But apparently, yeah, that's not something that they check for normally, and they just thought his glands were swollen because he was getting over being sick. So I don't know. It was a scary situation. Does this put a black eye on Kambosos' victory in your guys' minds or not?
No.
No,
I don't.
He couldn't breathe apparently for most
care.
of the fight. He thought it was his asthma for the most part.
I don't care about that, man. You'd see the same people that are sitting here trying to do this crap are the same people that keep discrediting the Lomachenko. Like, oh, well, he went into the fight and he lost, so Lopez beat Lomachenko and all that stuff. Well, Lomachenko also went into the fight being a dumbass and had a torn shoulder and decided to fight anyway and thought he could win. If Lopez is doing the same thing, man, you got to learn, man. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I don't know. Fool you can't get fooled again, all right? That's all it is, all right? It's just what it is, man. So that's just, it's stupid. But if he has the thing behind him that I need money and I have to fight, so I have to take the risk, then that sucks. That's just poor. I mean, that's just a bummer, right? I don't know who else you can blame on that, but that's a decision that obviously was made to move forward, to make sure you get that money. And now, who knows if that is a condition that is not recoverable, then you may never fight again, man. I don't know. That sucks.
Too bad his financial advisor is Adrian Broner, apparently. Filthy Rich, do you think this puts a black eye on the victory at Kambosos? They said that he was having Lopez was having a lot of trouble breathing during the fight. They thought it was his asthma. But does this, in your opinion, give it a black eye or not?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't. I think the Lopez fanboys out there would say, yes, it does. It wasn't a fair fight. And they have 101 excuses. But then those same Lopez fanboys, you tell them Lomachenko had a bad shoulder, they don't want to hear it. So you got to discredit the Lopez fanboys. I'm not a Lopez fanboy. I like Lopez, but I got to keep it real here. Kambosos beat him. Lopez shouldn't have been at 135. He should have just been at 140. The fight probably should have never happened. This is the fight game. You don't play boxing.
Fair enough. All right, moving on. Speaking of other boxers contemplating retirement, Deontay Wilder, after his loss to Fury, is also contemplating retirement. Says he accomplished all of his goals. Apparently, one of his goals was not beating Tyson Fury. But what do you guys think? There's still a lot of big money fights out there for him. There's an Usyk fight out there. There's if Fury has to fight Whyte, you got another. You got Usyk available. You got a lot of guys available. What do you guys think about Deontay thinking about retirement? Is it the time, or you think he's just still in post-fight loss depression? James, we'll start with you.
All right. Yeah, I know this is interesting news, to be honest, because like you said, there are big money fights that he could fight. There are plenty of people at heavyweight that he could still fight if, the storm was right. Joshua ain't got no belts. Dillian Whyte ain't got no belts. I don't care about it. We already talked about Dillian Whyte, but I'd rather see Dillian Whyte and Wilder fight than Fury Whyte fight. Either way, Anthony Ruiz, Usyk ain't gonna fight Usyk. But Ruiz, Joshua or Whyte, yeah, man, I could deal with that, right? But I mean, there's even other people. It doesn't even matter. I don't know. I think this is just kind of crazy. It's interesting. Obviously, he made a lot of money in those fights against Fury, so he probably isn't hurting for that at all. However, I don't know how entrepreneurial he is, right? Because I don't know what else he does except, be mean, really, besides, obviously him and his girl are trying to get into the perfume game, but that's kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. It's a real interesting move, in my opinion. I thought he would have had a lot more in the tank, but your body more than anybody else. And if that's the case, and he says that he's done and doesn't think he can do anything else or doesn't have the drive anymore, then, if you're healthy, why not hang it up and move on? But I think it kind of sucks a little bit because I think he still had some stuff in the tank. But
Rich, what do you think? Do you think he may retire and become a announcer, or maybe somebody offered him an announcing deal? Is that what he's contemplating, or is he still depressed about losing to Fury?
Plenty of things there. He'd probably be pretty good. He'd do okay on the booth. I think he'd do okay. He would be fine selling perfume at Nordstrom's. He would do fine selling perfume.
Smell it.
So look, I don't know if this guy was ever elite. I think the American fan wants to see the American star. They want to see the next Mike Tyson. And with all those knockouts this guy had, I think America thought they were in for the next big thing, Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury owns Deontay Wilder, kind of the same way Sugar Ray Robinson owns Jake LaMotta, or Sandy Sadler owns Willie Pep. I mean, they haven't fought that many times, but it's 3 times. And we don't see very many trilogies in today's era of boxing. But I think Deontay still has plenty left. Sometimes you have to sing a swan song. Hey, I'm leaving. Is anyone going to miss me? And see if Twitter says, come back. We miss you. Come back. And that's probably what's going to happen. You know how many guys retire and end up coming back because people want to see him one last time? I think it's one of those things where he's going to not cry, but he's going to announce a retirement and then announce, hey, I'm unretired, because there's a ton of money left to be made. And the heavyweight division, especially, I shouldn't say especially on the PBC, but guys like Hellenius is making a name for himself right now. And like Andy Ruiz, he's beaten Luis Ortiz twice. There's plenty of guys out there to fight. There's no reason to retire right now. There's too much money out there. Again, when the fight game retires you, it's because there's no money to be made. Everyone's just beating you. No one wants to see you in the ring, but he still has a core fan base that wants to see him knock somebody out. Tyson Fury owns him, but everyone else, Deontay Wilder has a real shot at beating a lot of guys.
Yeah, Deontay Wilder is 36, but that is actually kind of young for heavyweights a lot too. It seems like the heavyweights seem to go a lot longer, sometimes into their 40s and whatnot. So, well, 36 years old.
You count the rounds he's fought. I mean, because he knocked a lot of guys out early, so you can be a certain age, but it's just like a baseball pitcher. Don't count his age. Count how many innings the guy has thrown in his entire life, and apply that same logic with a boxer.
Well, I have that number for you too. In 45 bouts, he's at 161 rounds. So
that is not a lot.
It's averaging like 3.5 rounds a fight, if that. So, and it is what it is. Smart. Yeah, very smart. 2 embarrassing knockouts for him, though, in his eyes. So we'll see how he recovers from it, if he recovers from it. I hope to see him back in the ring. I think he's still got some big fights and big paydays in front of him. All right, we'll touch on real fast here the last bit of news. We did our Hall of Fame for the Bruising Boxing Hall of Fame first induction last week. The actual Boxing Hall of Fame announced their Hall of Fame inductees. Roy Jones, your guy, gets in. So is James Toney, Cotto, and Holly Holm gets in there too. People forget she was a very accomplished boxer before she knocked out Ronda Rousey. They also say that it has no bearing on it. I don't know if it has no bearing on it. Well, what do you guys think of these Hall of Fame inductees? Judge, we'll start with you this time. We'll leave Roy Jones to Rich down there.
Yeah, we'll leave. Yeah, Rich has opinions, and you'll hear him on this one. All right. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Cotto deserves to be in there. Roy Jones, what is his first ballot, right? First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yep.
I don't know what Cotto's got to be 2. I think he's got to be 2. And then Holm, I didn't
Holm was the third time. Yeah.
Didn't even know Holm was a boxer, so shame on me, I guess. And then James Toney. Yeah, I mean I think those are good inductees, right? Definitely can't argue with any of them. I think it's good. Glad that people are getting recognized, getting them in there, and now they can probably just not have to worry about that, especially if you've had such some of the careers that some of these guys have had. So I think it's good. I like it. All
right. Judge James says it's good. Filthy Rich, what do you think? Go ahead and tell us a Roy Jones Jr. story that's not going to take 35 minutes.
No such thing. So yeah, James Toney was also a second time on the ballot. Now he's in. So yeah, props to them guys. Just want to mention Miguel Cotto got I don't know how to say robbed, but the whole thing with Margarito, when Margarito had the loaded gloves, Miguel Cotto was undefeated going into that fight. He lost to a guy with loaded gloves, and we know how this I don't know if it's just boxing or this country or what happens, but when Miguel Cotto got that loss, a lot of money was lost. That should have been changed to like a no contest or something, but that had to have hurt his pocketbooks throughout his whole career. So all 3 guys deserve it, and there's probably a list of guys who will get in next year, or let's hope so, because a lot of good guys were left off of this year's induction as well, and they're combining last year's and this year's induction. Don't be surprised if Bruising Boxing has a live show in New York in June. Or you can be surprised, because I don't think any of us are planning on going.
Well, sweet, Filthy Rich, you're going to pay for our plane tickets out to New York. I like it. Well done. You're high rolling it this week.
Yeah, I'll get all the pay-per-views, no problem.
I noticed too, but I wanted to bring it up earlier that your mantle there went all Christmas. You took down the Wheaties boxes for Christmas. Christmas is even more important than your Hall of Fame up there.
Yeah.
Okay, good talk. All right, that's it for news this week. We'll move on to brews and reviews here right now. All right, brews and reviews time. two nice fights this last week. A lot of fun to watch, including one of Jim's favorite fighters. But we're not going to talk about that one first. We're going to talk about Tank Davis making his return to the ring, fighting Isaac Cruz. Very, very close fight. I believe James is going to talk about the little injury that happened, but it did go the distance. Very close on the cards, 115, 113 unanimous decision for Tank. James, we'll start with you about this one. Explain how this one was so close.
Well, I mean, he came out. What did they First of all, so they weren't saying it Isaac. They kept calling him
Isak.
And that
Isak
was
Cruz.
driving me nuts because it's Isaac, and they kept saying Isak. Whatever. Maybe
was I doing commentary for that fight and I didn't realize it?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just ignorant. I don't know, dude. Anyway, either way, it came out. Cruz came out just like he said he was going to do. Davis was just like he was in his previous fight, pretty much downloading info, hanging out, doing his thing, right? And it seemed like a couple of times Cruz got in some good shots, never really backed down throughout pretty much the whole fight. And Davis came through and had some good shots, doing the same thing, popping his little quick left uppercut, which has pretty much dropped a lot of folks. But I didn't notice any real problem until maybe like the 8th or 9th round, where it looked like Davis was. It didn't look like the same Davis, and he was only jabbing. That's all he was doing, was just jab, in his right hand until a little bit later in the fight. Maybe I think it was around 11 or 12. They started talking about, like, I think Davis's hand is hurt. And in the 11th, 12th round, I don't know if he threw a punch with his left hand. So it was just like Fight Night Champion going through the actual story mode where you had to win a fight by only using one hand. And that's pretty much what Davis did. He had to only use his right hand for half of the fight, I guess, is what it came out later, and was fairly decent. But I mean, definitely was odd. Kind of sucks that it breaks his KO streak. But that was the biggest takeaway for me anyway, was that Davis hurt his hand. He said he hurt it on a punch on the top of Cruz's head, because this is the first fight that he's fought someone shorter than him in forever. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was crazy. I think it was a close fight. Still think Davis won, but definitely could tell that the injury affected him a lot. But props to Cruz.
Well, you forgot the other big fight where somebody broke his hand was a big fight between Mason the Lion Dixon and Rocky Balboa. Forget about that one. Mason the Lion Dixon breaks his hand. It's a split decision victory over Rocky Balboa. Filthy Rich, what do you think of that fight? And where do they go from here? Where's Tank go from here?
Adelaide Bird was on the scorecard, so
that's true.
Decision. Anyways, look, the fight was closer than, because I feel like you may have read the scorecards wrong. I thought someone had it. I thought two judges had it like 116 to 112.
116, 112, 115, 113, 115, 113.
Okay, so that 116, 112 was a bit off. So it was unanimous, but this fight was like a 6-6, maybe 7-5 for Gervonta Davis. I thought Gervonta won the fight. I go online to just read what the Twitterverse has to say, and a lot of people felt like Isaac Cruz ended up winning. And I don't know if these guys are just whining about something. Maybe they're all Floyd haters. I don't know what the deal was. I thought Davis won this fight. It was close. He won it kind of in the same way I recall Adrian Broner winning against, I think it was Stanionis. Can't remember who it was, but it looked like he was kind of running away. But the fact is, Dude was controlling the ring. Gervonta was controlling the ring probably the entire time. Cruz was moving forward the entire time. Probably had the bigger punches that landed, but to me, it was pretty much Gervonta Davis on every swing round. So I think Cruz moved up from 135 to 140 on the last minute kind of deal. So props to him. I talked about him on a ranking we did not too long ago. So I'm glad he was the first guy to go 12 rounds without being knocked down by Gervonta. This is the second time Gervonta went through a fight without a knockout, and Cruz was a tough competitor, and I think he was a tougher opponent than whoever was originally supposed to fight Gervonta. Do you guys remember who that was? Neither do I. Should we drink to that? Social.
I don't, but I think Cruz would have got knocked down if Gervonta actually had that left hand, man. I was watching him hit them uppercuts hard. And Cruz did not have, he had a high guard, but he did not. He was taking those uppercuts hard, dude. When that stopped, that was just different. I think he would have been dropped, in my opinion.
That's why they got filthy rich calling him Isak now, by the way.
Isak Cruz. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know.
Where's Tank go from here, guys?
Well, I'm going to take that one right now because Tank
has
has already stated that he's going to stay at 135. He vacated his title at 140. He's staying at 135. I don't know why, but that's what he wants to do. So that's what he's going to do. Probably a lot of people. Lopez moves up. Tank stays down. I got a bunch of people up there. Cambosis, Loma, Haney, all them guys. I don't know why he wants to do that. Maybe because he thinks he's just, what do you call it? Like height-wise, like better built for it. But that's what he's saying. He vacated his title and he wants to stay at lightweight. For how long? I don't know, but that's what happened. That happened. So he's going to fight one of the big name fights eventually here.
Right on. What do you think, Filthy Rich? Is there anything for Isak Cruz in the future, or do you agree with him also on the Tank Davis future?
Look, if Cruz is at 135, which he should be, that's kind of where he belongs. He's one of the top guys in this division, if you ask me. I don't think he's a big payday, so I don't think people are going to be lined up to fight this guy. Remember the risk-reward balance. Cruz is a high-risk fighter. I think he beats guys like Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia and a lot of these names who only want top dollar. They're not going to want to get the ring with Cruz. Cruz and just have to keep cruising, boom, and just keep doing his thing because he put up a good fight with Gervonta Davis. The two of them might meet down the line again, I hope, because I thought that was a good fight. And I don't know. That's all I got for Cruz, man. Both guys, interesting to say at 135, but I can see the next, 2022, both guys are going to end the year at 135 at lightweight.
Right on. Let's move to the other big fight of the weekend. Devin Haney wins by unanimous decision over the Sauces guy, Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz put up a good. That is his guy. Everyone knows that the love that James has for Jojo Diaz. So went 12 rounds with him. 117, 111 on two of the cards. 116 to 112 for Tim Cheatham also says it. So Devin Haney goes the distance. Filthy Rich, we'll start with you about your breakdown of this fight.
Look, I get why it's James's guy, Jojo Diaz. I get it. Here's the thing, man. How do I put this? I still think he's a top 10 guy. Devin Haney's a tough competitor. I think Devin Haney controlled all 12 rounds. It was kind of a boring fight. I don't know how well Diaz, like what he does during training or what. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't care. I don't know, but at least Diaz showed up. Overall, again, boring fight. Haney is a lot quicker than I thought he was. And maybe styles make fights, so he was able to display something a little bit more, but kind of it was kind of the boring fight. James said it was going to be a boring fight. I did not think it would be this boring. I think James was right. This was going to be a boring fight. He has lost all faith in Jojo Diaz.
Well, James, I'm going to ring it up. He lost all faith. You said back when we did some rankings that Rakhimov was no good because he drew against Jojo Diaz. If you cannot beat Jojo Diaz clearly, then and easily, then you are not in the rankings. Devin Haney, who we all agree is a very great fighter, had trouble. He couldn't put Jojo Diaz out or even down on the canvas at one time. What's your explanation? Is Jojo Diaz that much better than you thought he was?
First of all, boxing ain't all about knockouts and knockdowns. Get the hell out of here with that crap. All right. No, Jojo D is not my guy. Never will be my guy. Never has been my guy. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. Anyway, yeah, it's still Haney and something I was expecting more. God, I feel like I say this like a broken record, man. I was expecting more from Devin Haney, and he showed flashes against Linares in his previous fight that, oh man, maybe he actually can come forward and have some power and do XYZ, and he just needed more conditioning because he kind of fell off and after the 9th round and then got and this fight against Jojo, I didn't see anything spectacular. He had no offense. It seemed like he had no offense, which made absolutely no sense because Diaz is prone to be getting just drilled. And did he even cut him? Jojo Diaz's face, his left side of his face is so easy to get cut, and he couldn't even cut him. I don't know, man. Devin Haney has the ability, I believe, to be a lot better than he is. I think he is somebody who plays down to his opponents, and that's exactly what happened here, even with the unanimous decision, even with the scores that he had. I just wasn't impressed, and I exactly expected Jojo to do what he did. So, yeah, I was a little bummed out, but yeah, it was pretty boring. Pretty boring.
Yeah, as you say, the sauce is disappointed in Jojo, but Jojo, there's only 2 losses were to Devin Haney and Russell Jr. or Gary Russell Jr. So I mean, it's not a bad resume of 2 people to lose to. So maybe he'll be able to regain your trust. What's next for Jojo Diaz, Filthy Rich? Why don't you, since he's not going to tell me what's next for Jojo Diaz, well, I'll toss that one to you, and then James, I'll give you, since we've been picking on you, what's next for Devin Haney.
I don't know what's next for Jojo Diaz. I don't know if he needs to.
Only 29.
Here's the thing. I don't know if he moves up in weight, if he stays at his weight, or if he moves down. I don't know if he's so out of shape that he needs to move up, but the competition's tougher if you move up. I don't know if maybe not tougher, but I don't think you do as well in 140 as you would do in 135. You stay at 135, we kind of know where you are in the pecking order. You're at the lower 10. You're hanging on to number 10, if you ask me. I don't know if you go down to 130.
He's too big.
We already know what happens when you try to drop weight. Your esophagus could tear, stuff like that. So I don't know what the future is for this guy. Like you said, he's a young dude. I don't know if it's a trainer change is in order. I don't know what to do with this guy. I thought James was being hard on Jojo Diaz over the last several years. But James is kind of right, man. I hate to admit it. I'll drink to you, James. I don't know what to do with Janey. I guess with Jojo Diaz. I think it probably starts with the trainer change. Let's start right there. Change your trainer, bro. Abel Sanchez.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, we talked about how little rounds Wilder has. Jojo Diaz has 263 rounds in 35 fights, so almost 100 and some odd more rounds and he's only 29. So Devin Haney, we've talked about he's going to be in that upper echelon, but he sure didn't look like it in this fight. James, where does he go from here?
Oh boy. Well, a lot of talk. Now everybody's spouting off everybody. Everybody wants a piece of Kambosos right now. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Loma. I mean, everybody wants a piece of Kambosos.
I don't know why.
To me, what would make sense if we want to get to the point where we're actually unified, even though the belts don't mean jack, you want to get it on paper. Haney needs to fight Kambosos. Unified champion, right? That's just how it is. Now, if you're talking about styles like fights, I don't know if that's really going to be entertaining. I also wouldn't put past this if Garcia is trying to get back in the mix and back in the game. Why don't you come and take Haney? I think that would be a fight that I would be interested in just to see where he sits, since he was, I don't know, man, he's spouting crap and he had an injured hand and mental health and all this other mumbo jumbo, man. I mean, those are the 2 that I would see. Haney and Kambosos for the real unified champion, or Haney and Garcia, because those are 2 up and comers. Garcia is either going to move forward or get that shut, and then he can go to Instagram and go hang out with Jake Paul and all them guys and do that stuff, because Instagram followers don't win fights. So
I'll be the one to say it. I think Kambosos beats Haney. If Haney fights the way he fought against Jojo Diaz, I think Kambosos beats him.
you have to tell me how much that bandwagon weighs.
It's pretty heavy on my shoulders here. You know, it's not as heavy as your Jojo Diaz fan club, but it is pretty heavy. So. All right, those are the fights this last week, and that's Brews and Reviews. We got some fights coming up this weekend, including James's other favorite fighter besides Jojo Diaz coming up this weekend. So we'll get into that in Brews and Previews. All right, Brews and Previews. A couple big fights this weekend. I know which one you're going to be watching, James. Lomachenko makes his return to the ring after his loss to Teofimo Lopez. I can't remember when that was, but actually fought Nakatani since then, hasn't he? But,
Yes.
I forgot about that fight. But hasn't fought since June is what it is. So he's fighting Richard Comey this weekend. What do you think? What do you got? We'll do the predictions at the end. But James, since Lomachenko is your second favorite fighter right behind Jojo Diaz, and what do you think? What's going on in this fight?
Christ. Oh, yeah. Look, Loma looked like the Loma of old against Nakatani. If he comes in with the same, if he comes in, he's unhurt, then I just think it's going to be similar. I'm going to go back probably a little bit further than most people may remember, but I think it's going to be similar to a Nicholas Walters. Loma going against the Axeman, where the Axeman had way more power than Loma, and I believe Comey probably has more power than Loma, but you can't hurt what you can't hit. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Comey is going to have a hard time hitting Loma. I think he's going to have spend too much time with that guard up. Right. So, I mean, it's going to be a good fight. I think this is a definitely Loma keeps fighting big name opponents. I don't know why Rich got such a weird face going on right now, but he looks real concerned or something, or maybe I farted. But it's
She's a PG-13 show, buddy.
And we can talk about flatulence, all right? Read the book. Everybody poops. Anyway, I think it's going to be a good fight. I think this is going to be a style just like that. If you've seen the Walters fight, I think that's what's going to happen, in my personal opinion.
Everybody poops. That's like the book about Terrence Crawford's opponents, right? Filthy Rich, tell us a little bit about Comey. Does he have a shot in this one, or is Loma going to knock him out faster than Lopez did? Lopez knocked him out in rounds.
Look, Comey was a good fighter. This would have been a good fight about 2 or 3 years ago. I don't think Comey has the speed he once had. Even with the Lopez fight, I'm not saying it was a fluky fight, but if rules were different and the round ended if you're knocked down, Comey had a chance with Lopez at least. I've went through this already with Lomachenko. He wasn't given that Lopez rematch, so now he's cleaning up guys Lopez has already beaten. So Comey's next on the list. I don't think he beats Comey in 2, but he's going to put on a show. This is we have not lost Lomachenko. The Lomachenko who dropped in the pound for pound ratings is probably going right back up to the top where he belongs. He had a bad shoulder one day and went 6 rounds to 6 against a very good Teofimo Lopez. So remember, this fight is on Heisman Trophy night, so set your DVRs late. You'll have to change the channel. You have to look on ESPN 6 or ESPN News to find this thing. But I don't think this fight is what it could have been a few years ago. But at the same time, Comey still has something left. Loma's going to put on a clinic, and that's all I can add to this conversation. Take it away, beef steak.
Well, let's get to the prediction segment of that. Loma Comey. James, what do you think?
Oh my God, I wish I could slap you right now. I think Loma takes it down. I think Loma's gonna win late round stoppage. Like the 11th round. I don't think it's gonna be a flash knockdown like he did like Teofimo. did against Comey. I think Comey will have a little bit better defense, but unfortunately, too much defense. I think it'll be a late round stoppage.
Philly Rich?
Yeah, I was gonna take an 11th round stop. I think I'll go with 10 just to shake things up a bit. I'll take Lomachenko in 10. Put that finger down. I think it's gonna be. Maybe the corner throws in the towel. I can't imagine Comey not getting up for a 10 count because he still has some power. I don't see that happening. I can see maybe the corner throwing in the towel, maybe the referee jumping in, going, "Hey, stop this brutal violence, Lomachenko, stop it." But at the end of the day, I'm taking Lomachenko in 10.
Well, Lomachenko always starts slow. He always takes a few rounds to download his opponent, so to speak. I think it's going to be the new style Lomachenko, though. I think it's only going to take him 2 rounds to download him, and I think we're going to have a return of Lomachenko. We're going to have Comey quit on the chair in round 4. That's what the Raiders saying. Comey's going to quit on the chair. Nomas makes his return, gets the download after 2 rounds. 3 and 4 just become a brutal onslaught, and then right after the 4th round, we got a Nomas in the corner. So I got a Nomas for Lomachenko after 4. James, you got a stoppage in the 11th, and Filthy Rich, you have a stoppage in the 10th. All right, let's move on to the last fight of the week. Well, there's other fights, but the other fight that we're going to talk about, Salamov is fighting Dimitry. Bivol makes his return to the ring in that light heavyweight division. Always a very interesting division, especially with the the redheaded Mexican right around the corner coming in and knocking on this division. What do you guys think about Salamov versus Bivol? We'll start with you, Rich, this time.
Should be maybe a good fight. When I say maybe a good fight, we haven't seen Bivol in the ring in a while, so we might have to shake off some ring rust here. But Salamov is probably the guy you want to step in the ring with when you've had such a long layoff. I think he'll put up at least a good fight. Styles make fights. The styles should mesh pretty well. I think can I give a prediction now or
no? We'll do that afterwards. We'll get there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight, but it'll probably be one-sided, cut relatively early.
I thought the same thing about the layoff, but I did look it up. I forgot he did fight in May. He had a 12-round against Craig Richards in May. Before that, it was a 2-year layoff, but he did have a 5-rounder in May in England with Craig Richards. It was a unanimous decision, but a close decision. What do you think, James? And also the question I have for you is, this fight is in the Ukraine, so what time should people be tuning in to watch this? Do you know that one?
I don't know.
Ukraine. You're usually good at that.
I don't know, man. Ukraine o'clock. It's on the zone. Don't worry about it.
Ukraine o'clock. Okay.
It's going to be at night. All right. It's going to be at night because the zone already has a fight in the UK earlier with Ben Algieri and Katie Taylor and whatever.
No, Ukraine, so not UK.
Yeah.
Ukraine.
The zone is the person making the fight. They have fights already during the day. This is going to be a nighttime fight. All right. For you American fans. So anyway, let's move on with what we're talking about. Dimitry Bivol, Salamov. You have an issue, one with height. Salamov was like 3 inches taller than Bivol, so that's going to be a problem. His reach advantage is like 4 inches taller. Thing that sucks is that Salamov was supposed to fight Joe Smith Jr. in an title eliminator fight, and he had to back out because of COVID. And Joe Smith Jr. ended up beating a whole bunch of people or something. He ended up beating who he beat, right? And then Bivol was unimpressive against Craig Richards because he should have done something against Craig. A unanimous decision against Craig Richards. Like, this is where I wonder where Bivol used to knock guys out, and then he just stopped. And he hasn't changed like his weight class. So I don't know what's happened with Bivol. He just kind of points everybody out. And that's all he really does. So I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think Salamov was kind of the guy that you wouldn't know about. I mean, he's definitely the younger fighter. I don't know, I guess you'd call him the up and comer. This is the Battle of Russia, I guess. But I mean, it should be interesting. I mean, I hope Bivol comes out. I had high hopes for Bivol to contend against Beterbiev and the other guy, Godsvik, before he retired, all super weird when he fought after he lost to Beterbiev, which just still to this day just throws me off, man. I don't understand that at all because Godsvik had really good skill. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a defining moment for Bivol to see if he actually still has it to move to keep at lightweight, or if he's going to do, or not light heavyweight, or if he's going to do something different, man. He's got to have a spark somewhere to garner a better fight. And this to me is the moment that he needs to shine, and he needs to shine bright. And if he doesn't, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be the first, like an undefeated fighter that just is unexciting for how he's gone and who he's fought already. So it's, yeah, that's my point.
Well, we all want to see him fight Beterbiev. I mean, that's pretty much the fight that he needs to fight. But he's a weird thing that he's a Russian without power, basically. It's a little weird. All right, prediction time. What do you guys think? James, start with you.
Well, it's going to be tough. I think Salamov, I don't know, man. I mean, they got about the same KO percentage. I think Bivol is the better boxer by far, just because that's what he does. Now, Salamov also is a fairly decent boxer, but I don't think he's definitely not at the same skill level. So this sucks. I don't want to make this prediction. It's going to be Bivol by unanimous decision. It's going to take 12 rounds. He's not going to knock Salamov out. It's going to, oh man, I'm going to say it again. It's going to be a boring fight. This is going to be a boring fight, and it's just not going to be, it's going to be boring. I think Bivol wins unanimous decision.
James says that it's going to be Haney versus Jojo Diaz 2 in this fight. Filthy Rich, what do you think of this fight?
Look, to touch on Bivol quickly, Bivol, maybe he doesn't belong at 175. Maybe he should just go back down to 168. He's probably the smallest guy at 175, and everyone has him number 2 behind Beterbiev. So I guess this will determine does he belong at 175, or should he just go down to 168 and just wipe that whole division out? You might even get a Canelo fight out of it if Canelo decides to drop back down. Look, I think Bivol wins in 7 max. I want to say 6. I'm going to say 7 max. Bivol knockout should not be close. This should be Bivol the entire time.
All right. He says knockout, and you said 7 or 6. Which one are you taking?
I'm going to say, I want to say 6, but no later than 7. I'll go 7 on the record.
7. Okay. He's saying knockout by Bivol in the 7th. I'm going to go as my bailiff, the Jack over there, is barking about it. I'm going to agree with James. I think it's going to go a long, boring fight. It's going to be a unanimous decision for Bivol, and the world keeps on spinning. So that's our predictions for the fights this weekend. Make sure you figure out what time they're fighting in the Ukraine on DAZN, and what Loma's on ESPN after the Heisman Trophy presentation, correct? On the Ocho?
It's ESPN Plus, so hopefully we won't have to worry about no Heisman Trophy anything, but you never know. They impede on everything. College football.
All right. Well, there you go. Those are the fights this weekend. That is Brews and Previews. Let's go on with the show. All right. Before we bring it home, I just wanted to touch on that news. I think we brushed over a little bit that Deontay Wilder's got a perfume coming out, which doesn't make sense because the person that should have a perfume coming out is, you guessed it, Amir Khan. Why? I will buy his cologne. I will definitely do that. That's on my Christmas list. If Amir Khan could come out with a cologne for all us real men.
I didn't know you could bottle failure.
Filthy Rich, why don't you bring his son home? He'll be French. He'll be failure.
Big shout out to our Minnesota boys, Jim Cott and Tony Oliva, on their Hall of Fame induction this past week. And a big shout out to, I want to call him hopefully friend of the show one day, Pat McAfee signs a huge deal with, I think it was Barstool Sports or FanDuel, donated $6 million on day one to various causes. Drink to that.
I'll drink to that. And James, by the way, the nice thing about the cologne that Amir Khan brings out is that the glass breaks just like his jaw, like immediately. As soon as you spray it, it just shatters. Filthy Judge, if they're watching us, where can they listen to us on the road? And if they're listening to us on the road, where can they watch us?
Oh, man. If you are listening to us and you want to watch us, you can go to YouTube.com/Brews and Boxing. If you are watching us and want to listen to us, check us out on any major podcast site. Just type in Brews and Boxing, which is BREWSAND Boxing. And there you go. You got it.
There we go. That's our show this week. Amir Khan. Shout out to Amir Khan. If you're making that cologne, don't put it in a glass bottle. Please don't do that for the rest of us. It won't ship well. All right, for Judge Dewey James and Filthy Rich, I am Raider Live. That is our show this week. We will see you guys next week.